Awesome. So let's just take it from the beginning again, since that's embarrassing. But I have my stuff always set up, but somehow it must have disconnected. So we're doing an unboxing of a couple things, and I'm going into my 5 tips and tricks for DMs, tagging in this stuff. So I got this in a Kickstarter, and you guys saw the cards, so you can at least have a gist of what I was talking about. But what these cards are representative of magic items that this individual has made out of this book. And I'm going to go into what I do with these cards, because these are a bunch of magic items, potions, armor, arms that I can use now in my game that supplements beyond what my players know. My players are going to have no idea what, because I have players who are, I love them to death, but they're book nerds like I am, and so they have access through D&D Beyond of everything that I have, and they study stuff. Like they're looking for magic items that they want. One of my players is a ranger. She desperately wants the Oathkeeper bow. She is hunting for it. She wants magic arrows. She's explosive arrows. She wants to make them. So that's one of the reasons why she's the tinkerer in my party. And so that's why I got this book. I was looking for something like this. This is beautifully done, just like the... it's just like anything you get from Wizards of the Coast. I mean, the artwork is amazing. There's a ton of materials, where they can get them. It's got crafting times in here, what the value of each item is. The levels for recipes. And this is the first time I've cracked into this, honestly. Like, I have not, other than removing the plastic and packaging. First time I've looked at this, and I mean, I can't wait to crack into this. There's a ton of stuff of precious metals, adamantium, silver, star metal, electrum, gold, mithril, platinum, lodestone. I mean, somebody put a ton of time into this. There was a number of, let me give credit to the authors, because they did an outstanding job. Andrew Geertsen, Chris Haskin, JVC Perry, Megan Roy. I got this, like I said, through a Kickstarter. It is from Nord Games, and I will try and tag this once I can find it. Like I said, I got through a Kickstarter, so I don't have a link to their store, but I'm sure if you look up Nord Games, the ultimate guide to alchemy, crafting, and enchanting, there you go. It's they actually have a price tag on the back of it, $40, which compared to the Player's Handbook. Player's Handbook is, like I said, $50. So again, I'm not saying, don't get the Player's Handbook. Don't, they're all great. They're all useful. But as many players know, you do not need, you don't need to buy stuff to play D&D, really, at all, actually. It does, I mean, in my belief, I think it adds to the game. I mean, you can go to any public lake and go swimming. But if you make the investment for, Wave Runner, I'm not saying you're going to have more fun, but I mean, there's more action to it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where it's how much do you want to invest or, add to your game. If you've seen my game room from Instagram, I have put a lot into it. The 3D printers behind me, they're all for D&D, tabletop gaming, RPG, all that stuff. I love it. So let me get into now what that unboxing, how you guys could use that. Not necessarily you can go to Nord Games, check them out. This is not a promotional affiliated thing by any means. That came in the mail. I've been waiting for it for like a year. It's the downside of Kickstarters. You buy something and you're like, oh, it's going to come in. I can't wait for Bones, Reaper Bones. I bought into season 5, and that was 2 years. That was 2019. I've got a number of things. I've got a fog machine for tabletop gaming. I've got Curse of Strahd from Beetle and Grimm coming. I have to wait, and it's a lot of table tapping. So let me show you what I do or how I handle the spell cards. So this is my, or no, not spell cards, sorry, the item cards. I do have a book of spells too. So this is what I use when I am prepping games, and it is just a compendium of, these are all the cards from Wizards of the Coast that they've released so far, and I have them color-coded by just how the cards are broken down. Weapons and armor, so I think we're in armor right now, then we're into rings, this is potions, staffs, rods, wands. These are weapons. The Ione stones. I haven't broke them up how I plan it. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do it this way. I also put them in order of uncommon to rare. The reason for that, in legendary, I put them in order like that because if I'm prepping a game and I don't just put a magic item in there and players kill bad guy and now you get an item. I hate that. Like, that's in real life, if a bad guy had the weapon, why wouldn't he use it? So I equip, if I have my players fighting a drow elf, the drow has that weapon, we'll use it against them. He'll have that armor and I add that in there. So I use this for prepping of some of the things like that. Or doing a shop, and I'm going to get into something of how I do my shops, because players walk into a random magic shop, how do you display, how do you tell them what items are available? A magic shop, if you guys watch Critical Role, my Critical Role shirt, Gilmore's Glorious Goods, love Gilmore. Not affiliated, just I love them, I'm just saying that. I say that a lot, sorry, I should just have a t-shirt that says I'm not affiliated. Anyways, so when I do a shop, and you have, like, I use those cards, but, like, let's say I create a shop like Gilmore's. Gilmore's not going to have, a whole binder full of equipment. Magic items are rare, uncommon, legendary. They're going to have a few on site, and then, maybe they can have them go look out. One thing I do with my players that I love doing, I do have a Gilmore-like character. His name's Tinkle. And he sends my players actually on quests to go find magic items that other people are looking for. And they can find them, and he gives them rewards and discounts and stuff like that. So that's another thing you can do. Now, when I have players at my house, I haven't been able to do that since COVID. It's been a couple of years. But I did create a system for my cards of shops, and I'm going to give you a site or a source. I got to plug this guy because his work that he did on cards is extensive, and it's all free, and it's amazing. I love it. So I was looking through the interwebs looking for stuff I can use in my game. I love sources I can use in my game. I also, although it looks like I spend tons of money, I try to find the cheapest sources for anything. Kickstarter is amazing. You can get supplement books for $20 to $50 to $100 and get, way more than what you paid for. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a shop that I could put down, because I hate if you've ever watched Critical Role and you watched Travis, the look on his face is, if you've ever been in the mall and you've got like a, boyfriend, married guy or whatever, who's forced to hold his wife's purse, and he's got that look. That's the look that I get every single time I see Travis and they're doing a shopping scenario. It cracks me up. So I wanted to do something that make buying and selling quicker. And I looked at, how do I go and buy stuff? And I have a problem is I love perusing. I walk into a store, I'm looking for one item, but maybe I want to get a couple more things. I do this at the game shop all the time. I walk in, and they know, just leave me alone. I'm going to be in the back for about 20 minutes looking at miniatures, and I'm going through my head, do I have that? How could I fit that into a... And I end up leaving with a handful of miniatures because I perused. And so if they would just said, can I help you? And I go, yeah, I'm looking for an illithid. Oh, here's the illithid. You want me to ring that up for you? Done. You just I mean, I would have probably bought 6 more things if you weren't trying to rush me out. So I want to do that to my players. I want them to be able to peruse and enjoy it. So, what I did, I was trying to think about it, and like I said, I found from another DM, he had created a deck of cards. And I don't mean like these. I mean, there's more cards than this whole stack. I think it's like 3,000 cards. And what he did is he had taken essentially the DM guide, the DM book, or maybe it's the player's handbook. He had created a card for every non-magical item in the world that exists. He created stuff that didn't even exist. So let me show you a couple. I've got a sample of some of his stuff because you'll see what I did with the other stuff. But so here's a few things that he did that aren't items. So he did room keys. It's a number of room keys. Now you're going, well, room key, what am I going to do with that? And then he put values. Everything has a value on his cards. So you can see there's an in-room key, 4 gold pieces, and it says aristocrat. So I could use this. He didn't send out instructions of how to use his cards. Just he created for his player, for other DMs to do what they want. How I could use this is I could go, well, yeah, you guys are bunking for the night? Well, 1 room costs 4 gold pieces, and you need to have this key. And I can give them the key as a thing of sale, because you would have a real key at a medieval tavern or some sort of symbol that you are staying at this inn. And so I could use that further on. I could have, players meandering around the town. They go to the dockside, to the slums or something like that. They get into a couple scuffles, and then they come back to the nice side to stay at their inn that they spent 4 gold on for a room. And if you know tabletop games, 4 gold for a room that's a pretty lavish room. It's very that's the marital suite. Well, the guards would challenge that. What are you doing here? You guys look like you're coming out of the slums. You look like you live in the slums. You're not entering in this nice part of town. They could produce the key and say, look, no, we're staying here. This is a key to the Leprechaun Inn. And any guard who lives in that town would probably recognize it. So that's another thing that I can do, and that's just a small sample. Every item has, for the most part, a unique picture. I don't know if he did the artwork himself or like that, and I want to hit him up. So the link is in the description, but I wanted to make sure that I threw out his name. It is Paul Weber. DM Paul Weber. Like I said, I had the link in my description on the YouTube. It's, I'm sorry, not 3,000, 300 downloadable, printable D&D cards. And it's like his Tumblr, and he's got a ton of awesome stuff in there. I haven't been on there in a while until I just pulled up the link. So you got to give him a check out. So let me show you what I did with him, and then I'll get into the shop. So he came out with a series of treasure cards. Now, treasure, players are going to think of treasure as, well, it's a magic item that makes me do this or that and gives me... But treasure is a lot more than that. I don't like to just go, yeah, here you go. You got, roll a couple D100s. Oh, you've got, 50 platinum. You've got 500 gold. You've got 25 silver and, 10 copper. Whatever. If you go to a dragon hoard, it's probably not going to be a pile of gold. I mean, I look at, other source materials that I think of. The Hobbit, for example. If you watch the movie The Hobbit, which I don't recommend, nor do I not recommend. It's not affiliated. But, sorry, there's no love triangle in The Hobbit. I taught the book. I don't like the... Whatever. If you watch the part where they have Smaug inside the mountain, there is more than just a piles of gold, and I mean by gold I mean coins. There is huge jewels. There's suits of armor. There's mithril. There's a bunch of different stuff, and that's what a treasure hoard in my mind is. It's more than just piles of gold. So with those cards, there's a set that is actually treasure, and it's a number of cards. It's like 150, I think. So I'm going to flip a couple pages so you can see. This is my treasure book that I created. I just bought a 1-inch binder for this. I use a ton of binders in my games. They're all sorted. They're all organized. And if you look carefully, you can see a green dot on all these. I'm going to get into that in a second. So these are, let me see if you guys can see them, highly detailed pictures. So easy to narrate. There's how much the item is worth. And I have them in no order whatsoever. It's just how they fell, and that's random. And you'll see, I don't know if you can read that because my handwriting might be terrible, but I have them all numbered, and there's a magical reason for that. So I believe there is almost 100. There's 90 cards in this treasure hoard. So what I do when my players are, let's go back a few months. My players fought a red dragon, an adult red dragon, defeated it, and went on a rage looting of trying to get as much stuff as they could before the lair actions killed them. And they went crazy. So what I had them do, I gave a roll of, based on how long they were going to spend in the room, I gave a roll of a whatever the dice was. D20 if it was like going to be an hour. I had a system of how much I'd roll. I think they got 9 was I think the number. So then, just because treasure's fun, that's what the players love to, get. I had them roll on their own a D100 9 times. Now, if they got above 90, I'd have them re-roll it because I don't have more than 90 cards. So, and we went through, and anytime they, I would have one player call it out. You got a 23. Okay, let's go to card 23. Card 23 is a ivory statuette, a small statue carved from ivory in the form of, here it is right there. It's it looks like a mermaid in the downward dog pose, and it's worth 250 gold. Now, if I'm using something like D&D Beyond, it's not in there, but I just tell my players what it is, and they just punch it in, and then they have it in their inventory. If I had them at the table, I could give them the card. I don't want to do that, though, with this book because it's very well organized and quick. And if I had them have that card, what's to say they wouldn't have another, there isn't another ivory statue in the world. None of this stuff is so rare or mysterious. And anything ranges from 5 gold pieces to 10,000 in this thing. It is luck of the draw. And that's another thing I like about doing it this way. I'm letting the dice decide. Because when I first started playing, before I made this book, let's just say my players would accuse me of being stingy with the money. I deserve... We fought a blah, and you gave us only 50 gold for it. Well, you're in a poor town, and yes, you did fight a revenant and take him down and all that stuff, but the town doesn't have that income to give you something. But you go to a treasure hoard, there's going to be random items, it's going to be random gold. It's going to, so I do use sparingly on this. I mean, obviously, for narration purposes, if the players were in a small hamlet and stuff was only worth 5 gold, everything, 5 gold's the richest guy there, they're not going to get $25,000, gold for something else. So I do try to be careful with this before I crack it out. DMs do have the power. If there was something that they rolled that wouldn't fit the narration at all, I think there's something in here that's probably worth... here's a good example. A decorative helmet worth 7,500 gold. Maybe, it's the long-lost hero heirloom of the town or something like that. But that's a little bit of a stretch. So, again, I use sparingly on that. But so that's the treasure side. And then everybody in the world of tabletop gaming that I know of, or Dungeons & Dragons, everybody always knows about diamonds because you can use them in Revivify, Restoration, as powdered. And then what I love what's the new releases and that kind of stuff is the idea of tattoos, using the gem dust in tattoos. I personally have a background in English and manuscripts and that kind of stuff. I have been doing like spell books with powdered gem dust. So that might, again, creating scrolls is something I'm very interested in doing on my own, because I'm working on my own book to, possibly do as a Kickstarter in the future. So there's a ton of gems in here. I think it's up to like 50. 53. So again, if my players go to a giant hoard of gems and that kind of thing, or they go to a gem store, I can go to this either as a reference guide, or I can have them roll to see what they found in a treasure hoard. And so it's not always going to be, oh, you found a ruby, you found an emerald, you found a, diamond. I mean, at some point, diamonds shouldn't be something that they've got, 50 of, and the diamonds are the rarest mineral. They should be rare. So that's my treasure book. Again, check out. Again, I put him in the description. DM Paul Walker. He's got a Tumblr account. Surprised the Tumblr still exists, but he's got links to all of his cards, and it's not just treasure. And I'm going to get into that in a second. So that's my treasure book. So that's tip number 1. You can create ways for that supplement your game style. The one you can be quick. You don't have to. I mean, when I do prep, I don't sit there and plan all the items I'm going to give my players. When I'm creating encounters, I might, if I want to pump it up a little bit more, I will equip monsters with items. But magic items are rare. That's the thing. So let me show you the other part to this guy, Mr. Weber, that he did. So again, I'm cracking out my book of magic. So as I mentioned before, he made everything that's in the game, essentially. So I love using this for the whole shopping experience, because I don't have to think at all on this. I don't have to pull up my book and go through. I don't have to go into D&D Beyond and type in something like that. If my players have a list, I want a new toolkit. What kind of toolkit? I want a forgery kit. My rogue is looking for a forgery kit. Here you go, middle card. Look at that, forgery kit. Even has a distinct picture of what the forgery kit looks like. It's cost 15 gold pieces. In the description, it says what's involved in it. And you don't have to go by what the gold pieces are, on the card. I do every now and then play with it. If they're in a place that would not have a forgery kit, that's something that's not, acceptable. It's a higher standard of living. And, less reputable people are not so profound in that city. Well, obviously a forgery kit, you're going to have to go to some unsavory people to find one. And it's probably going to cost more because of the rarity. So then, in that case, you'd pump it up. I mean, if they go to the docks, for instance, and they're looking for navigator's tools, I'm going to probably keep it at 25 gold, because they're in the realm of where navigators are. They're on the docks, they're on the ship side. That's where I would think a navigator would buy his equipment, or something like that, or a university, something like that. But if you're looking for like lockpicks and stuff like that, and you're on Main Street of a major city or capital, no, that's not going to be. Why would they have picks there? Or you'd have to go to some bum inn on the outskirts of the slums or something like that, and that's where you'd probably find that kind of stuff. So, and like I said, they've got everything in here. Like, I put all the toolkits in the front just because that's, brew supplies, alchemist supplies, potter's tools. But then there's like regular stuff: holy water, a hunk of cheese, feed, apples. And I have a player who had a shopping list. It's the ranger. She's, planning out everything. Like, I want chalk so I can mark in dungeons, that we've already been here. I can clear rooms and put an X on a door, that kind of stuff. I got chalk here. It costs 1 copper piece. And so she gave me what I did is, if they're going on a shopping trip, I don't want to burden everybody else. put together your list, send it to your DM, and I will give you what it would totally cost. And if she wants it itemized, we can do that. And that's a way to make it quicker. But getting into the actual shopping for, let's say magic items or rare things, let's get into that. So again, real quick, just to show you some more of these cards. Here's my weapons section. They've got everything. I mean, different types of armor, scale, chain shirt, breastplate, half plate, ring mail, chain mail, full plate of armor. It just goes on and on. All the different instruments, different ammos, potions of healing, what those cost. There's a card for everything, and he did, like I said, he did an outstanding job. They're beautifully done. Check them out. So that's how I have my inventories for items. Now, how I run a magic shop or something that players are trying to get something unique. I will show you what I created. And I call this it's a shadow box. But all this is very simple. I just went to a craft store, bought a shadow box. See, it opens up. I put a wooden dowel rod in there, so with some sticky tack. So if I needed to, I could prop it up, so you guys could see if it's sitting on the table. It would be on the table, propped up, so all the players can see it. And all I did was I took this black board back here. I know it's not a good shot, but this black board is just the foam core board you can get at a dollar store for $1. And I just took those cards. So what I have here would be if they were at a tanner, or not a tanner, like a true blacksmith or a tanner shop. Yeah, I mean tanner. I mean it's where you would get your cart, your horses, your feed, your blah 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 blah. So I've got here so the players could see. Oh well, it's going to cost me 4 gold for a saddlebag. Wagon is 35 gold. A cart is 15 gold, and it has the descriptions here on all of them, and they can see it. Now I don't normally do. I'm using this as an example. I didn't put this stuff in my binders because, I mean, let's face it. When you buy a horse, I'm just going to do a package deal, or a cart. I'm going to come up with my own. But when I do magic items, I can fit easily 8 cards in here. I mean, that's within reason of a magic shop having 8 items. And so I can use the cards that I have from WizKids. Now those do cost some money. I mean, you can put, your own cards in here. You can make your own or whatever like that. You can use Paul Weber's is great for simple stuff. But that's one of the big things I use my cards for. So that's kind of how I do unique shops and that kind of stuff. It lets players physically see items rather than me running down a list. I had my players do a shopkeeping thing a couple days ago, and it was it was a character I created, a NPC leprechaun, because I do have a leprechaun race in my game, and he was a trickster, and all of his stuff was magic items. He was an arcanist that would make magic items to mess with people, and some of them were horrible. One of the wizards bought he bought the wand of the gullible mage, and how it worked is you would cast fireball, and it would work the first time, but the second time that wand casted fireball, it would blow up on you and do 3d8 damage of fireball on you. And my players are looking for that character. They want to murder him so bad because in the middle of a fight it blew up on him. Wizard got really excited. I'm going to bust him out with my fireball. And it, boom, centered on the whole party. Only one person didn't get hit. But there was a lot of items I had that player created. I think there was 12. And it was difficult for me to, because my players just let's just, I don't care anymore. And there were some items that I really wanted the players to know about. I had a broken sword that was actually something that they could put together over time, and so it was a quest kind of thing. and they almost didn't even know about it because they're, one of the players got mad about because the leprechaun kept on pranking the barbarian. I'm not going to have that happen anymore. I walk away. Okay. But that's the downside. If I can show what he's got pretty quick off the bat, that lets the players at least see it and ask questions versus me running down a shopping list with them of, hey, he's got this, and this. So, so my shop shadow box is what I call that project. I think it costs like $20 to make. You get the foam core, and I think it was like 10 or $15 for and sticky tack. I mean, you could put a regular stick in it. You don't have to do that. You could just use the single sheet of foam core board for $1 and use sticky tack to tack the cards on if you want it. I mean, you do not have to be overcomplicated with it. I just like flair and I love woodworking, so any chance I can, I'm going to try to do a little bit of it. So we talked about the shop shadow box. We talked about my treasure binder. This is something I want to talk about. That's really cool. And like I said, there's a link in the description. As a DM, whenever the players are in an encounter or in a fight, it's hard to do a narration of, I don't want to be like every 5 minutes, oh, you took an arrow to the knee. Stupid joke. Oh, you got hit in the arm. Because eventually, players, if you get hit in the chest, obviously over time, chest is normally like a mortal or fatal wound. Shooting, like a shot in the face, is normally a mortal or, terrible wound. So I was always finding myself being hesitant to say, like, yeah, you got hit in the chest. It was always in the limbs, and I would do that with my monsters as well. And the players started going, well, I hit it in the arm like 4 times. Isn't an arm gone yet? Or, is it not using its arm anymore? And so I wanted to have a randomized way of where the players hit, where the monsters hit. So this die is what I found. It was really cool. I found it in my local shop, my local game store. Freedom Gaming in Canton. Pretty cool. But you can get them on Amazon. You can get it at Miniature Mart. And what it is, it's a D12. I think it's called D12 location die or damage die. So I'm going to try and get a close-up here so you guys can see. My camera might go out of focus for a second or two. Focus. There you go. So if you look at that one, it's centered in the chest. That's the knee, arm, right arm, head. And so you roll, boom, that's got hit in it'd be his left hand. And so when the players, one thing I thought about doing, I don't have players in my house right now, so I haven't done that. But what I thought about doing, they come out with a ton of these die in different color. I think all my players have one. Me just buying like 6 or 7 of them. They're like, I don't know, $8 a piece or something. Sorry, I spend money on D&D quite a bit. It's like one of my big things. I don't go golfing, so I don't spend money on that. But just having one is enough, really. I have one in my tray as a DM, and when my players are in a game, and yes, there's going to be creatures that don't have the humanoid atomical bodies, black pudding. Where'd you hit it? You hit it in the pudding. But this is a good way of me randomizing where players or creatures are hit, and it's a narration thing. It adds a little bit more to my game. I'm not sitting there going, well, because when I'm not thinking, I'm going to become repetitive. And I'm going to keep up with this. It's more randomized, and my players know I have it. So but if it's a strike to the face, and it was a bow, maybe it wasn't in the eye, glances off the face, or glances off the throat. It doesn't hit the trachea or the or one of the major blood vessels. It's in the meat of the neck, something like that. So, but this I think was a cool thing that I found a while back. Wanted to share. So that's 3 of the cool, useful things in D&D that I wanted to share. And then the last 2 I'm going to go to... This is another one of my binders. I like this picture, sorry. It's one of the old school D&D pictures. So, as I said, I like my players to be able to find materials, create materials, so that they can, just like in real life, if you think about it, like medieval times, archers, how'd you make a bow? How did you make arrows? Well, arrows, bolts, any of that kind of stuff, it required the glue to attach the fletching. So where you get the glue? Well, you get it from fish, is where you get glue from. That's how they would make glue back in the day. Well, where do I get, feathers from? I mean, you can get them from, a variety of things. You collect the materials to create this one item that requires all these materials. So why shouldn't, an adventure game that's set in that kind of period be the same thing? And so what I did is I have in one of the first towns my players were in, they ran into an alchemist who has an alchemy shop. Her name's Agatha. And she gave them a list, a very, 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 very long list of items to look for in their travels. They're very specific. It's not like find me a bugbear. It's find me a specific thing on the bugbear. And then try and harvest it and bring it back, and I will give you X amount of gold for it. It's worth about this much. So I thought that was a cool idea. I will not lie, I got part of the idea from watching Critical Role of, I think it was the Slayer's Take, whatever. It's the group that they're like hunters, and they go out and they harvest animals for wizards and stuff. I wanted to take it to the next level. Because I have done a little bit of hunting back in the day, and you want to use as much as you can. Don't go to waste. Don't hunt for the sport. You hunt for the usefulness. And also, in these kind of things, a dragon came at me. I was defending myself. I'm not gonna let it go to waste. That's how I see it. PETA don't hate me. Anyways, so I found this handbook, and this is seriously the coolest guide ever. If I could throw a couple bucks at this guy, I would, because I've used it probably every game, every encounter almost. It just says E.B. Moreno. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Moreno. It's like more and no. But I tagged in the description. The official title is The-Monster-Harvester's Handbook. He's got a description of how it works, and after you read through that, it is just tables. And it's alphabetical of monsters from, now this is D&D Central, but monsters from the Monsters Guide. And it just has what's useful. So let's look through here. I already was talking about dragons, so let's do a Dragon Blue Ancient. There is a bunch of different parts. There's 10 different parts that they can harvest. There's the Decratus Fundamentum. What its uses are, how much it's worth, just the item, if they're able to harvest it, what the DC, the difficulty is of harvesting the item, and then notes. So if a note for this, 12d10 lightning damage on a failed DC. And then, cool fact, shelf life. So, my players right now, they're actually trying to build a bag of colding, which Matt Mercer has in Critical Role in the first season, because the shelf life is killing them. They've been in the Underdark for a number of days, and every time they kill something, well, if it's 3 days good, they've been in the Underdark for, I think, 4 or 5 to maybe past a week. They're stuck in there, so they've done some creative things. They stole the barbarian's cask that he has full of alcohol, and they tricked him by the cleric makes water, and then the rogue uses prestidigitation or something or another to make the water taste like alcohol, and that was what bought the barbarian off on giving up his cask of alcohol. And although now the barbarian no longer is getting drunk, so he's getting madder and madder because it's not working out for him. But the players tricked him. It was hilarious. I thought it was funnier than anything. But that's how they overcame. Alcohol is a preservative. It'll make let the things last a little bit longer from that. But it goes down here: gizzard, heart, eyes, liver, scales, skull, teeth, claws, tongue, horn, egg. Sorry, and it's for everything. I mean, it's like I said, cobalt. There's a skull. That's what's valuable. It's only good as a trophy, though, so it wouldn't be something that an alchemist would use. Manicore, the teeth, the claws, the tail spike, both alchemy, trophy, and they're also practical. So maybe you can make a weapon out of them, stuff like that. And this is, like I said, a great guide. And I mean, there's descriptions on what the checks should be. In the back here, tools that they can use for. So I have for my players a book. They actually have a harvester's kit, and then what it costs to buy each one of these tools and make them, because they're specialized. Think about if you go to a doctor's office or something like that. Sorry about that. Their surgical kit. Well, the surgical kit's gonna. I don't think you can go to a regular store and just be like, yeah, I want a scalpel. Well, here's my crafting knife. Ha ha ha. Oh yeah, that's a doctor-worthy scalpel. No, it's not. I'm sure there's some, levels and whatever. And so, thought that was really cool. I want to name that one by name because it is, like I said, I use it in every game. Nearly every game, every encounter. As soon as the encounter is over, that's one of the first things the players ask about. The ranger always. I want to harvest and so the other ones will be checking the rest of the area to make sure there's no more of whatever just attacked them. The ranger will try and harvest. Usually the rogue will try and assist with dexterity, or using mage hand if they think something's unsafe, because they have gotten blasted a couple times. I think they tried to dissect a dire troll and it exploded in acid all over them or something like that. So there's other guides. That's another thing I want to talk about. So that's tip number 4. And this guide, by the way, totally free. I have the link in the description. Totally free. You don't have to print it in color. I did. But it's amazing. So you can get these guides that are outstanding, and a lot of them are totally free. So this is the Complete Crafter. Like I said, this is what I was using before I just got that book. Now that book was an unboxing today, so the first day I've had it. I have not used it in my game, so I was using something else. I was using a different guide, and so it's just like any of the books you would get from Wizards of the Coast. And it has a bunch of stuff in here. So this is their crafting for harvesting plants and herbs. And somebody's gone through, and I don't know if any of these are real because, I kill every plant that's inside the house, and then I don't kill whatever's outside the house. I have a disease when it comes to that. I hate yard work and blah blah blah. But it's got is it common? Is it rare? Where is it? It's in mountains. These are things found in the mountains. It has a thing in here, I roll a d20. And so, like I said, you can find these. I'm going to name where I got most of these at. But, so this is the D&D Complete Crafter's Guide. I just Googled for a lot of this stuff. A lot of it, though, so that's one of them. Let me get in some of the other. Let's go from the very start of the book. So, alcohol and drugs. Alcohol and drugs exist in the real world. There should be an effect to it. Like I said, the barbarian is usually on the side of drunk in my game. So how does that affect? Well, I have in here how that affects. And so I have tables that I can roll on that, you're this drunk, well, you have this effect going on you. If you've watched Critical Role in Season 2, Not the Brave, the goblin character played by Sam Riegel, was drunk, and that was often a thing. So Not would be brave when drunk. When not drunk, would not be brave. So, and there's different things in here too that are great, like how much certain liquors cost, what it costs by the cask, the keg, the jug, the high jug, drugs, what kind of drugs can exist. If you played Skyrim, skooma. So yeah, it's only a couple pages. And that is from, let me give you the link, or the group. The link, like it says in the description. So that is from, it's called the DM Guild. The DM's Guild. It's www.dmsguild.com. There is a ton, there's a lot of stuff that you do with paid for, source guide, and there's a ton of stuff that's free as well. So, alcohol, drugs. I love like the quick roll for, so D100 items for sale in a fantasy black market. I roll a couple D100s. Now I have a bunch of items, and it's just a trained mimic is 19. Who would want a trained mimic? That's fun. There's a lot of role play you can use in it, and this is more role play stuff. This is not so much they're gonna find a something crazy or something like some legendary weapon that will kill everybody. But number 16, a writ granting one favor within reason from a criminal syndicate. Your payment helps keep them in business. The right can be magically tracked by them. So that's something huge. So maybe it costs 1,500 gold. You name the price. And, it keeps the bad guys in business, but then they owe you a favor. And if you've ever watched mob movies, a favor goes a long way. I'm going to make an offer you can't refuse. So, yeah. So that's Black Market. 100 historical weapon histories. Historical weapons. I love histories. I've written a ton of magical weapons in my world that are lost. One of my players actually found a book that has, I think, 25 different weapons that I put out there. This is a guide that I can also use to help create stuff on the fly or stuff like that. I love blacksmithing. I'm a crafter myself, so I want to get more into blacksmithing. So it's something that I've created in my game. Different forms of smithing, different types of alloys that are made, legends of blacksmiths, weapons that blacksmiths have created that you can follow. You can, it's got, it's made by this person, so it does this. Different ores that have different properties that are infused with different things. So this gives it a history, or could. And so again, that's just, I think most of these are made by the same guy, the D100s. If I see a name, I'll give it credit. Casey Willis is who made that one. I want to give these guys credit if I can. The Black Market stuff is also Casey Willis. And like I said, these are all in the DM guild resources. The drug one is Daniel Chivers. Chivers. So yeah, and like I said, you can find 100 character quirks, personality traits. That's great for players trying to, discover how they want to make their player, or if you're a DM, creating NPCs that are goofy or weird or do something. Maybe you have a character that snaps after every time somebody says something, or spits every time you say a certain word. That's something that you can have, it adds another dimension to your characters. If you're playing as a DM and you're not, just, you meet this character, his name's Bill. Everybody says, hi, Bill. Bill says hi back. Okay, what do you want? Okay. Yeah. If you're giving it, and Bill has, a lot more to him. He has a dimension. He's seems to always be smoking on a pipe, and when he's not, he's spitting. Every time he takes the pipe out, he spits. Something. You're giving something, give the player something to jump on of, maybe there's a reason why he does that. Maybe Maybe there's a reason why the character snaps every time you say a certain thing, or spits every time you say a certain thing. Whatever. That might give them another quest idea. It's up to you. So 100 character quirks. And like I said, I think they all have the DM guild in the corner. I believe all of them, like I said, I got from the DM code. This is Casey Willis again. Just bookmark him. I mean, he's got a ton of good, helpful guides. D100 Dark Gifts. So, Demon Lords. Casey Willis again for that one. Demon Lords, if I have a campaign that has a lot of demons in it. So, again, Casey Willis. So, yeah. That's another, and all of these guys, this whole book is free. I mean, other than what it cost me to print it, everything I got out of here was free from the DM Guild. I think I threw a couple of them a couple bucks. There's a way to, offer them money. That's number 5. I mean, for the day at least. Helpful tips. You can add to your game for next to nothing, and really build a story and environment, and add another dimension to your game without really doing any work whatsoever, or it just makes your job easier. Like I said, I ran a couple games with shops and store clerks and that kind of stuff, and some players really want to do shopping. They love it. They want to haggle. Some players do not give a rat's behind and want to get it done as quickly as possible. You're going to have to know your players to know what kind you have to deal with. Maybe you give them a shopping list, and they give you a shopping list, and or you introduce a character, an NPC. Go the old way back in the day of, they walk into a store, they hand over a list, and there's some, boy or something behind the counter who puts together the whole thing, and while the storekeeper talks to him, something like that, tells him stories, gives him news, gives him updates, that kind of stuff. You can, or have just like the full out, let's talk about it kind of thing. But again, I think that a lot of people like to be able to see what's going on. It lets you relay information a whole lot faster, rather than me saying, yeah, he's got a magic cloak, he's got, that does this, he's got a magic wand that does this, there's a sword that's broken, but it's rumored to do this, and the wizard does some magic to make sure it is magical, and it is. Instead of having this whole discord of, I can have a board that shows, here's this, there's these 5 things, or 10 things, or like that. And so now they can see it, and other players who are watching can go, yeah, I'm interested in that. While another player's keying on to something else. I have now 2 people talking at once about 2 different things, and I can easily talk to them back and forth, and I didn't have to, list off everything on the menu. I mean, think about it. If you go through a drive-thru, why do you think that non-affiliated fast food place has a board with a bunch of pictures of the 10 most popular items, and then has the sub-sides and stuff like that, and they're all listed? It's people key to the pictures and go, oh, that's what I'm looking for. Most people go up and they already know what they want. So it's another suggestion. That's what I thought was cool about these cards, because although the cards from Wizards of the Coast are great, one, they are really expensive. I think it's like $20 or $30 a box. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, I did this Kickstarter. The book was $40, and then the cards, I don't remember what I spent all told together. But it's going to be far less than what it would cost me if I had gotten this from Wizards of the Coast. And this just added however many, let's say there's 52 cards in each box. This just added 200 more magic items and things into my game that now my players don't know about. So, again, I mean, it's extremely detailed. That's really cool, whatever that is. Unraveling Chain. When you use a bonus action to speak this magic armor's command word, it unravels into a 150-foot Long chain. Speaking another command word as your bonus action makes the armor reform around you. So it acts as a chain shirt, but it's also useful as like a rope. That's freaking cool. That's a really cool idea, whoever came up with that. So, I mean, that's... You can find... I mean, that's what I love about this game, is that other people come up with great things. I've come up with a ton of stuff that I have on my D&D Beyond account that other people have used. You're not bound by, oh, you're stealing my idea or like that. You're not. I mean, if I was trying to sell that idea, the chain shirt, with that, I would say that's stealing. But, you know, if you're using it for your homebrew game, it's your homebrew game. I mean, that's just a cool idea. It's a cool magic item. I mean, you want to talk about D&D in general, or just fantasy in general? The word orc. J.R.R. Tolkien made that one up. There's no rights or like that. People use that all the time. Orcs, goblins, like that kind of thing. Goblins existed before him, but orcs didn't. Tolkien made that one up. The Ents. Everybody knows about the Hobbit thing. You know, they're halflings. You know, and D&D got sued for that one. Again, you're not marketing it. You know, there's other stuff that people put out there. There's a reason why they make it as free. I mean, I've put a ton of stuff out there that I hope repays somebody down the line that for stuff that I've borrowed or looked at. I mean, good example, my 3D printing. Thingiverse. I go on Thingiverse all the time and 3D print stuff. Good example. I use this guy as a paperweight. I think he's hysterical. It sits on my table. It's totally flat on one side. But it's a crushed player under a D20 on a 1. I mean, it was only about this big. I blew it up on my 3D printer, made it super big. But I thought it was funny to have as a paperweight. So I made it. You know, somebody else designed it. They actually had it on a trophy for TPK. But I thought that would be really cool as a print to have as a paperweight. You know, and then I also printed the TPK trophy just in case I ever have one, so I can give it to the players. But yeah, I mean, you give and you take, you create something, you throw it out there. Like I said, I'm hoping in the long run to make a book. There's a lot of stuff I'm working on that I want to create and stuff. And I mean, a lot of it I play test in my games I have on D&D Beyond. When I put it all together in one book, it's not, you know, do I want to charge people for it? I mean, I need to make ends meet on it. But I want to give back to, you know, the players. The stuff that came from Nord Games today, again, it was cheaper than some of the Wizards of the Coast stuff I've got. And it's a lot of material. It's going to take me a while to go through that book and find out how can I use this, how can I not use it, you know, what benefits does it serve, that kind of stuff. So, well, again, guys, I mean, I know normally I do like 2 hours, but let me know. I don't want to, I mean, painting videos make sense for 2 hours, but I don't want to hit you guys with like top 10 list every single time and talk about it. Unless that's what you guys want. If you want me to do 10 next time and make it 2 hours, let me know. I've got a lot of stuff that I can talk about, a lot of things I can do. I actually had a list of 10 things, and I was just like, no, it's going to be too much. But I do invisible ink stuff. I've got journals that I've made that actually do react to chemicals and that kind of stuff while the players are playing, or different lights or that kind of stuff. Some react to flames, some react to, it's really cool. So that's something else we might do in the future. I've got some cool stuff to paint. I wanted to show you real quick. This was printing in the last video, so this will be something I'm hoping to print or paint in the near future. And for this, I want to do a resin pour all around here. So we'll possibly do that here in the future. This is from Printable Scenery. Just want to give them a shout out. And then I am printing a very large major desert city right now. You might be able to see. Sorry for those who get sick or like that. You can see the large building temple on the side. Just finished printing that today. That's something we'll be looking at. I gotta work on it though, because both printers are not working right now because I've got to re-level them, and one of them needs a new fan. So, yeah. So again, it's up to you guys what you guys want me to do, what to talk about, the DM tips. I want to do in the future a kind of side-by-side of, creating towns, hamlets, economies, that kind of stuff, of how do I throw together, for an opening of a start of a campaign, how do I have like a general idea for the world. I think I put together the gist of my first big, 5 cities and that kind of stuff in maybe 2 hours. And I think I had 100 NPCs in a couple hours. I've got some tricks to that I do, so we can go into that. But until next time, may all you guys' rolls be natural D20s unless you're the DM, in which case, make it fair but make it hard. And you guys have a great rest of your day. Be safe out there. And again, let me know in the comments what you guys want to see next. If you want me to do more paint videos, we'll do that. If you want me to do more craft videos, potion shaker bottles, I've got a ton of those that I've done before, that I have for my game. So let me know. And the more we grow the channel too, we'll start doing giveaways. I've got these 3D files, tons of them. I have no problem doing a painting tutorial and then just sending whatever I painted to somebody. So if that's something you guys are interested in too, let me know. We need more of a following though, because I gotta pay the bills. So, all right, you guys be safe out there. Have a great rest of your week. And I don't want to say it's a Monday yet because I hate Mondays and that's what we stream now. But you guys have a safe one.